Okay, you both have it now?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I think so.
All right. Emma, if you go ahead and give us the etiquette.
Okay. Has everybody done Zoom? Is there anybody who has done Zoom
Most everybody
before?
has not.
Most has not. Okay. So depending on how you are looking at your screen, if you're on a computer, laptop, you can be in gallery view or speaker view. But just want to make sure that everybody, when we start, we're going to go ahead and mute everybody. That way it'll eliminate some of the background noise and distraction and feedback. There is a chat feature at the bottom of the screen that you can use throughout. That Andy and I are going to be watching that for questions and different things. If you find there is participant, which will be down at the bottom, when you click on that, there is a spot where you can raise your hand, and that will notify us that you want to interject or speak. And then that way people aren't just talking over each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a big help. And then Nolan, is Nolan on yet? Nolan Letourneau, have you?
I don't see him.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'll
that's
get him
okay.
on.
That's all right. If anybody has any questions about using it on if you're using it on a desktop, it kind of looks one way. If you're using it on a handheld device or a tablet, it's going to look another. But basically, those things are going to be the same. Brother Frazier, good to see you, sir.
Thank you.
Would you give everybody a greeting?
Hello, how is everyone? I finally figured out how to get the audio on and the picture on.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty techie.
Well, you are right up there, greased like a monkey. I'm telling you, glad to see you on here. Eric Sanders is out in Seattle, just north of Seattle, about what, Eric, 25 miles or so?
Yes.
Yeah, and in Everett, Washington, and they are in kind of the epicenter as far as our country is concerned of this COVID-19 update.
Oh.
At least Eric is going to be out in front of us. Eric, you'll have to unmute your microphone again, but if you would just kind of tell us where you are in your journey, okay?
Sure, yeah. So the first case of COVID-19 was actually in Everett, Washington, where I pastor at the hospital where I visit all the time. That was the first case that hit the U.S., and that was, boy, I don't know how many weeks ago that was. But, I kind of thought of it like, okay, well, we have one case. But then, of course, that nursing home up in Seattle area, which is like about 12 miles from our church. That's where it really kind of took root, and the media called it the epicenter in the U.S., which was a pretty significant label. And of course, initially, many of you are probably like me. Just the reaction that I had was, okay, a lot of media hype, a lot of overreaction, and to kind of pray through it and seek some wisdom. Part of it was nobody was really thinking a whole lot about it yet because it got to Seattle area first and really hasn't, saturated other areas yet. So just kind of thinking through that, praying through that. We actually made the decision, not this Sunday, the Sunday previous, to go online. So we've been online for it'll be 3 Sundays this Sunday. So pretty significant for us. And we're just taking care of church members. We have one church member in our church that is diagnosed. Of course, his whole family is exposed. We have a group of seniors that are living in kind of a senior living area. And 3 of them, there's 4 of those seniors in our church, 3 of them have been exposed to it. And there's actually 7 in that complex that actually have it. So it's it's pretty interesting what we're having to process and work through. But how we kind of made the decision, we were trying to balance the idea of wisdom and stewardship and just looking at how we can keep our people safe and not get exposed, all the while, conducting services and things like that. So we just started to do, we just shut down, had one Sunday morning service that first week, and did it at 11 o'clock, and that's the way we started. So.
And you've had a mission conference since?
We have, yes. We might actually be the first virtual missions conference of all time. I don't know, maybe. Not sure. But this last Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we actually had the missionaries in the auditorium. All the church family was home. So there was 12, 15 people in the auditorium, and the church family was home. Yeah, pretty interesting. But praise the Lord, we raised about $7,000 each night for each missionary. So that was a blessing.
Amen. That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Hey, is anybody still able or planning to have services on location this Sunday? I'd be very curious to know. Anybody like that? You raise your hand there on the deal, or you can speak up. Is anybody having services at all? Is everybody looking for the digital solutions? Did anybody? We had one service last Sunday. Did any of the rest of you have a service last Sunday of some sort? Yeah. So we went online on Wednesday night, and that was our first online deal. Well, I want to get right to a number of issues that most of us are currently concerned about, and one of those is offerings. I probably have gotten more calls about offerings than I have about anything from people who weren't set up yet. And if you are already using some kind of church software, it could be that your software, especially if it has an online capability, you may already have something connected to your church software. But if you don't, let me tell you that there are a couple of things that you can use. We've used one in the past. We currently use ACS Realm. That's actually down in Florence, South Carolina there, Chris. ACS is that's where they are. But we use Realm, and we moved from Tithely. But that Tithely is an app, and it can be put on your website as well, so you can have both online and an app, and that can be set up today. You can have that set up and be able to send that out to your people on Sunday. Also, you can have. There's a second one that we have used. I work with another nonprofit in our area, and we use Givelify. And I'm going to send you a document. I'm going to share with you a document here in just a little bit that will have links to a lot of these things. But Givelify is another really helpful tool. And what you want to do is see which one will work best for you and for your people. The apps are already in the app store of whatever device people have, and it works very, very well. Coach Lewis McClendon, who's still sitting in the dark over there, a couple of years ago, Lewis said to me, "Dennis, you need to change your offering envelopes." And the offering envelopes that he told us that we ought to change to was an offering envelope that can be mailed in. Let me see if I can pull this up here and show you. If you can. Let me share the screen. This is kind of what we went to, and man, it is so nice. Since this has happened, some of our people have already begun to mail these envelopes. This is obviously the mailer. Now, if you all want to use our bulk mail permit and have your people put Cherry Street Baptist Church in the 2 on their check and mail it to us, we'll see if we can find a way to handle that for you. You can use our permit number and everything if you want to recreate that. Just send it to that address. But this is what this mailer looks like, and we are using that in a really easy way, we will send. I'll send that. I'll send that page as a PDF to you. Brother Frazier, why don't you tell us what you guys did at Canton this last Sunday?
Okay. This last Sunday, we did an online worship service. We basically had a small worship team, some instrumentalists. I actually had Lewis McClendon to speak for me because he was scheduled to speak. I was supposed to be out with Eric Sanders preaching his mission conference in Everett, Washington. But of course, I didn't end up going out there. But Lewis preached a fantastic message entitled God's Instructions for Tough Times, and really ministered to the people. We had a time of prayer. We have had, I think, over 3,200 views of that particular service. So there's a lot of people out there seeking for spiritual guidance and spiritual help. And we felt like the service was, I think, as well done as could be done with the short notice that we had, because we literally did a phone tree call on Friday informing all of our church members that we were going to be canceling on-site services and going to online that Sunday. So overall, I think it went very, very well. Since then, Monday through Friday, I have done a devotional time on our Facebook Live and also on our website. I've been dealing with the subject of fear all week. It's basically anywhere from a 5 to 7 or 8 minute devotion that I do. And we have had great, great feedback on that as well. We've actually had probably anywhere averaging around 2,000 to 2,200 viewers on the devotional thoughts that I'm sharing every day. So we did online giving. Now, obviously, we have the Tithely app, and we also have the online giving on our website. We're encouraging people to mail in their tithe or drop off their tithe for those that are venturing out of the house. This past Sunday was lower than usual, but we're hoping to make up a lot of that loss this upcoming Sunday.
I see. Thanks, Mike, for that. And it's exciting to know that ministry is still able to happen, isn't it? I see, Matt Keller, you said you've developed a resource. Can you just tell us what that is a little bit?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and try to share the screen with you if I can, and that way you can kind of look at it. But I'm trying to. We'll see. Well, I don't know if it's going to let me do it. Basically, it's just a resource for our people. Most of them have never really seen or done online church services before, and so what I wanted to do was make sure that we get something in their hands to try to help them make the most of watching online digitally. It's a totally different experience from the in-person gathering, and so I'm more than happy to share the InDesign file so that you guys can update it for your church any way that you want to. Again, just trying to put a resource in the hands of people to teach them how to get the most out of this really strange thing that we're doing right now.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And it is in the chat. I do have it. I've already downloaded it. So I really appreciate that. I was looking for David Class. I thought I saw David in here. David, are you there? Can you speak up if you're still here? I don't see David. He said, I saw that he said he still is able to have services on Sunday, and that he has one coronavirus case in a 50-mile radius of his church, so he's still having service this week. So we really do appreciate that. We want to talk a little bit today about the different ways that we actually connect with people. And I am, we worked really, really diligently this week, as I'm sure everybody else has, to figure out how do we connect with everybody. We've taken the position that that we're not going to let anybody fall through the cracks. I mean, we're all doing this with technology, but but every one of us probably can name half a dozen pastors that we know that are older, or maybe somebody on a church staff somewhere, and certainly a number of people in our churches that are absolutely do not have technology, and they're not going to have it, you know. And so we have determined at our church that we're going to do everything that we can in order to make it possible for us to reach as many of those folks as we possibly can. And so we have a plan that we've put together. We went live with our service last Wednesday night. And I know that for us, we stream our services on YouTube. We don't have, Mike's got are you still on TV, Mike? Frazier, are you still on television?
We are, but it's a 1 week delayed.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
so
we do have live radio.
Yeah, we got live radio. And so they have TV. I think, Chris, you guys are on TV. Are y'all on a delay as well in Florence? Or do you know? But I guess I missed Chris there.
Yes, we're on a 1 week delay on the television program, but we live stream on the website and on YouTube and on Facebook Live.
Okay, and we don't have the TV option. We're not on radio. We've been doing a live stream on YouTube, but we were able to just last night make a connection on to be able to do both, stream both on YouTube and now on Facebook Live. So our goal was to get, and we connected with every Sunday school teacher this week, and we're going to have Sunday school in Facebook groups, taking those Facebook groups live. We're going to do attendance in those groups. And our goal in order to make that happen is that we've got to connect every single person we can to our services. We are looking at verifying and collecting every email address. So we've got teams of people. Last Sunday, on the last time we met, I put a link up on our website that we just called Able and Willing, or Able and Available, I should say. And so we asked our church family, if you are able and available to help in some way, if you'll just go online, maybe it's to pick up groceries for a senior, go to a pharmacy, maybe it's to take somebody to the doctor, maybe it's just to make some phone calls. A lot of things can be done from your home. We put that link. We had a really good response to that. We still have people that are signing up for that, and we've already mobilized those people. They're helping us to collect, make sure that all the email addresses that we have are current. We went into the database and pulled up a list of people that we don't have emails for, and we're making those phone calls. And we're also from that harvesting a group of people that are not digitally connected at all. From those people, we're going to make the phone calls to find out which of those people actually wants an audio version, and we'll take a good old-fashioned CD if they've got a CD player, or we will on Amazon you can buy a something that will play at either MP3s or MP4s video, MP3s audio, and it uses a 16 gig little micro. Those phone cards, what do you call them? You know what I'm talking about. Like you're using a camera and that kind of stuff. SIM card.
Micro SD.
Micro SD. Thank you, my son Ben. Yeah, micro SD card. But you can find those for less than $20, and then you buy those little SD cards, and somebody can just pop those audio file onto that SD card, and then we can deliver it to our people who don't have any kind of connectivity at all. We're just committed to getting the word to everybody as much as we can. Does anybody have a different way of connecting the audio or the video with people who are just not connected with any kind of internet or online. Anybody got anything that that you're doing with that? Anybody have anything you want to share on that? Another thing we're going to do is put together mail outs weekly with a bulletin, in order to a bulletin and an offering envelope. We're going to send out to those people that are not connected, in particular to our seniors. So those are that's part of what we're trying to do, is just collect all those, and then we want to keep our people connected. And so how do we do ministry? How do our people? Of course, we can make phone calls and we can text, and we're asking our teachers and care group leaders to help us with that. But with our staff, Lewis, Tim made some videos, and I think I saw Josh Dixon's on here too. He trained some of Josh's guys, I believe, Josh Dixon. And can you tell us a little bit about that? And then we hadn't let everybody know that link for that, it's already up on the website.
Right, I'd be glad to do that. My son Tim worked for Blackbaud, which is a database for churches, but they also are the ones responsible for raising money for like Franklin Graham and a lot of nonprofits. And so he made 2 videos that's on the site now. And one video talks about technology, just like Dennis just said. You can join YouTube and FaceTime and that together. And he talks about the program to do that so that you're actually on every single platform. And he talks about how to do some community things in your church. For instance, in the children's area, you can have a treasure hunt where you give a list of 15 things. The kids find those 15 things at home, and then they snap a picture of them and upload that picture so that the kids in that class are actually seeing other kids in their class. So that way there's kind of a connectivity that goes with that. The second video talks about giving and the fact that we are actually not on our playing field anymore, because our playing field was people come to our church and we motivate them to give. But we're now in the playing field with Red Cross and everybody else, and that our people are going to be inundated on their Facebook and everything else about giving to every other cause in the world, and how that we need to motivate our people to continue to give to the church and to communicate to other people in the church. So it's not just the pastor, just the staff, but it's people in the church communicating. It's really important to support our church at this time. So those are 2 videos up there. Watch the whole video, because at the end, everything you talked about, the links will appear at the end of where to get all those kind of things. Now, some things are charged, that cost you money, but some of them are just month to month. So you only pay it, like if you go to meeting or something like that, or Zoom is a monthly fee, but it only goes month to month. But it might be worth the investment for now.
Good. Micah and Ben both shared the links to those in the chat. And I really appreciate Tim. And I think Brother Josh, I saw Josh Dixon here. Are you still here, sir? Can
you hear me?
There you are. Yeah, can you just share a little bit about how that training helped that your church?
Yeah, like Brother Lewis said, we've already kind of implemented a few of those challenges to like our young people with scavenger hunts. We did some little puzzle things that we sent out yesterday. Anything to just kind of connect everybody and let everybody remember, even though they may live on the same street, hey, you're not by yourself here. We're still connected. We're working on this week, and when I tuned in, I heard you talking about ways to get Sunday school classes together. And we are not doing that this Sunday, but we will be doing it in the following week, as far as on Zoom, having our Sunday school teachers kind of lead that and everybody kind of connect in and be able to see each other's face and teach a portion of the lesson that way. We're also doing a thing we call daily connections. So every day, one of our staff members at 2:00 every day is doing a 15-20 minute Bible study. And On Tuesday, for instance, our youth pastor is doing Elevate Youth Ministry. He's doing something that they've been working on. So that'll be on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, the live stream at 7. But then on Thursdays is our children's pastor with Faith Factory. And then throughout the week, the other days, Monday, Friday, are just, general staff members doing some kind of a Bible study to get people to stay in there and stay connected.
That's great. I'll tell you that I think that is probably going to be the biggest piece of the puzzle for us. I mentioned about those resources that Tim is doing. One of those resources is called Bomb, and there's another similar one called Dub, and I'm going to share with you a resource document at the end of the meeting today. But that resource document, those will give you a link to both Dub and Bomb. But the way Dub works and the Bomb as well is you can actually record an email. It's a video that is directly into somebody's email, and then it's actionable. So if you are sending something, hey, I've been praying for you, and I prepared X, Y, or Z. It's almost like you're visiting in their home immediately when they open that up. We're going to think through. We haven't even implemented that yet at our church, but we're trying to think through how do we contact people we can't catch on the phone, that we can't get. Obviously, we can't visit them, and what do we do related to these kind of ministries? I do want to mention that age really does play a difference, and I'm sure you all have got this figured out. You can read it everywhere, but age plays a huge difference in how people actually use technology. 85% of adults in America are connected to Facebook in some way. Now, I'm one of that 85%, but I rarely use it. That's because I'm 60 years old and a male. But my mother, who just went to heaven, heavily used Facebook. She's in her 70s. My wife teaches a senior ladies Sunday school class. I think there are about 50 ladies on her roll, and out of that 50, there were only 2 who did not regularly use Facebook. Both of them, though, had the technology in their home, and somebody is going to their home between now and Sunday to get them on Facebook and get them connected to their Sunday school class. So I've got a senior ladies Sunday school class that's going to have a private Facebook group and teach their lesson on Sunday morning before we all gather together for worship. And we're doing that with every one of our adult classes. Even Bill Levergood, some of you guys might know old Bill Levergood. He was in here today learning how to do a Facebook group to be able to teach his class on Sunday. And so I'm excited that we have those kinds of things. But our teens, some of our teens have a Facebook account, but they don't use them. What we found is that we're going to use Zoom. That's been mentioned already. I think Josh said his classes are going to meet using Zoom. That's what this meeting is. And I can see how this could be a benefit to us. Zoom allows you 100 participants in a meeting before it charges you anything. And so you could literally, I don't know if you watch any particular stocks, but while all the rest of the stocks in America are diving, Zoom is going through the roof. And they are matching, they are doing spending a lot of money to upgrade their infrastructure to be able to handle what's being required of them. So this looks like that's one of the reasons we wanted to meet on Zoom today, was to give you the ability to kind of see how this works. Chris has a question.
Yes, sir. It was about Zoom. Several of you said you're going to use it. I've been looking into that. Has anybody actually done it for a class or for any kind of small group already that has feedback on how it worked?
Andy, are you there? Can you speak to what you've been working on?
Yes. I've been working with Zoom now since Wednesday morning and have gotten used to it very quickly. And it's extremely user friendly. One thing that I found out. The first test group I did was with my wife and my 3 kids, and my wife, who is not extremely technical savvy, but she can work her way around things. She was able to just click on the link and go right into the meeting with no problems whatsoever. One of the things that we did find out is that if somebody has a PC or a Mac or a desktop of some kind, that's all they have to do is click on the link. If you're going to do it through a phone or a tablet, then it'll ask you to download the app. In my experience so far, I haven't found a workaround to that. So we're going to be doing our youth Sunday school service this Sunday through Zoom and sending the parents and the kids, if they have an email address with us, the link, so that parents don't have to worry about downloading another app to their phone or something like that. Once the link is done, it's expired. So, which is good for safety in that area. So,
So you were emailing those links instead of just texting a meeting ID number?
yes.
I was going to try I teach just the seniors, with 25 or 30 normally, that 12th grader. So I was going to maybe try that with them on Sunday to then be able to advise the rest of the church on it.
Right.
Yeah. We, if you go, I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Ministry Grid. There'll be a link to that on the resource document that I'm going to share with you at the end. But Ministry Grid is Lifeway's training. It's a video training template. We've used it here for a number of things. And last week or a week before, I think it was week before last now, they put out a whole video. I think there's 3 or 4 videos and a bunch of templates with links and questions and kind of guides to use to help us think through what these things are. And then last week they came out with, okay, doing ministry when we can't meet. And Chris, there was a number of things that were mentioned on the Ministry Grid related to using Zoom and people finding it to be one of the best things. One of the reasons that I'm excited about Zoom, and I don't know if you all have it, but we have people in our church who, because of some difficulty that they had in their relationship, their marriage, whatever, some of them are just saying, we're not doing Facebook. Facebook, they've had a problem with Facebook. We've had to struggle with Facebook in some way. They don't like the private parts of it. And I get that. I understand that completely. And so on 2 things that may happen. One is we may have some classes. We're trying to keep everybody on the Facebook Live this week. But I can tell you that we will have a class using Zoom for the people who just say, I've had a bad experience with Facebook. I do not want to have a Facebook account. And by doing this with Zoom, they don't have anything that they have to do. So I think, and I believe Tim talks about Zoom on his thing as well. So I think there's a lot of resources out there. Again, Zoom, I see a question about Zoom pricing. Zoom is free to up to 100 people, and you get 40 minutes for free. And then if you want to do what we're doing today, if you want an hour, you get $15 a month for one host. So that means you could have one meeting going on, and that meeting could go 24 hours a day, but you need one host per meeting. And so that one host would have one meeting. That would be $15 a month, basically, for that. So there's a link to that on the resource document. But this is my first time to use it. I see John Connor up there. Hey, John, do you use that? Have you used Zoom with your missionaries and some of the meetings that you've been having?
I've used it a couple times with missionaries, and I've used it with working with the executive committee of the BBF and multiple ways. We've used it, and it's very, very good. It's excellent.
Yeah. I thank you, John. I really like where we are with that, and I appreciate that so very, very much. John, while you're there, while we've acknowledged you there, tell us, just give us a quick word about how our missionaries are doing. I know some of them are really nervous.
Yeah, we're staying in pretty close contact with all of them. As at this point, we don't have any word about anyone having or been contracted COVID-19. I do know of one missionary that's in the hospital with pneumonia, and they're testing him. Our missionaries are in countries where the governments have shut down any travel going in or out, so they're there. They can't do anything as far as getting out. There are a few who are still trying to get from their countries to the U.S. Our government has put a level 4 travel alert out there, so there's a few days left when some of them are able to get back. Three things really for our missionaries. Number one, our missionary force is an older force, so we need to be praying for our older missionaries that they won't contract this. And secondly, a lot of places they're at don't have good health care. So if they're stuck in countries where there's not good health care, then that makes it also kind of scary. But our mission office is working part from home, part from the office, so that we're always available. If someone gets sick, we still got people that are available to work and help. We're communicating with our missionaries all the time. And so appreciate all of you guys praying. And of course, I know our churches love missions and missionaries, and you're going to keep doing as much as you can to keep them going. And I appreciate that, and I know they do.
Good. Thank you, John. I wanted to pull up this this ministry grid screen and let you see this, just so you kind of get an idea of what we're looking at. Can you all see that? I'm not seeing that's there, but I'm assuming it is.
It's on screen.
Okay, there it is. This will show you how to prepare for coronavirus, digital pastoral care. If I preview the training, it shows that there's something, how to use it, and then there's a video related to it that will come up. And then there are documents that you can download that will talk to you about pastoral care. One of the things that is in here that I'm going to actually use with my next week as we get into this a little bit further is it talks just about protecting ourselves and not having any of those putting ourselves in a difficult situation by using the wrong online tools to do a lot of the work that we do. So, as we're talking to people and trying to help people, my son Ben is there, and he's on staff with Pastor Frazier. Ben, you've already had a chance to talk with somebody, do some ministry counseling on online, what that looks like. Just give us just a word about how that went and the tools you used and that kind of stuff, if you don't mind.
It was a little, definitely an interesting situation. One of our ABF teachers, who's actually a snowbird and down south, has a nephew that's just really struggling in the last week or so, paranoid about all that's going on, a lot going on in his personal life. His name's Jay. And so she connected me to him, and we met on the phone. And then I just said, hey, can I propose that we go through some scripture together, and let's do that on FaceTime. And he was more than willing to do that. And so we talked for about an hour and 15 minutes last night via FaceTime on our phone. And he shared with me that I shared the gospel with him, and I went through the Romans Road. And when we got to the end, I said, is that something that you've ever done? He goes, well, I've heard about it multiple times, but basically I think that's what I did this morning when I called the Lord. I called him this evening. I tried to talk through, is that saving you from your circumstance or your sin? Anyway, long story short, he said that he called on the Lord to save him from his sin yesterday morning. So I'm getting discipleship materials to him, and he's already committed to me to do FaceTime discipleship one-on-one over the next few weeks. So we're trying to see if we can get him connected. And I'm hoping that once all this settles up, we can connect him to other people in the church.
Okay, thanks,
So pray
Ben.
for Jay.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. We've got a couple of. We want to try to open it up for questions at 3:00. We got 16 or 17 minutes for that to happen. Let me move really quickly into talking about some kids stuff. The ministering to children is really going to be a challenge. Emma, Emma, are you there? Can you pull that up on your screen, that document that you were going to share, or that we were going to share? I didn't pull it up. So if you can pull it up and share it with us. We've chosen, and everybody can do it differently. We're not going to.
I don't think I can screen share on my Chromebook.
I'm sorry, you don't have screen share? Okay.
Well, I don't have any of it. I have it all.
Would you
loaded
share
on my
that?
computer.
Would you just send me that link then in the email, and I'll pull it up in a second.
Which one am I sending you?
Anyway, we have chosen, as for us, is that while we're going to have Sunday school time, a scheduled time of Sunday school at 9:30 on Sunday morning for the adults, our 10:30 worship service on Sunday at 10 o'clock, and then at 11:30, 10:30 is our worship service, and then at 11:30 is when our teams are going to meet at Zoom, with Zoom, and we're thinking through that because technology being shared in homes and that kind of stuff. So, but what do we do with our children? And Emma, and I don't know how she does it, but she found some things, and then Lifeway has come along and done some things as well. But there are we've decided we're going to put together something that people are able to do with their families. A link to some music, a link to some different things that. Let me see if I can pull this up so you can see it, and I'll share this. Let me share this screen if I can make that happen. So this is basically a kids online experience. This is from Trinity Baptist, I think, in Jacksonville, Florida. We're going to use a similar format, but essentially it's teaching the parents or sharing with the parents the things that they can do for this week to go along with their lessons. So for them to spend some time as a family teaching their family, there's an activity sheet down here that, as you can see, that can be downloaded. There's a video of somebody doing that. And so we're going to use a format, something like this, where we have our kids training this way. Does any, or for families, is anybody got a different way of doing something with their kids? What you're planning to do with kids each week? Anybody got anything like that? Speak up if you have anything.
Hey, Brother Dennis.
Yeah.
One thing that I didn't mention before is we're doing a private Facebook page for our children's ministry, and every day our children's pastor is doing a little bit of a Bible study there, and then he's also asking them to record them saying their verses for Awana. And since our Awana program is kind of on hold, that way we can kind of keep track, and when we're back together, he can award the patches and they can finish their books in that way. So he's going to do something every day in the way of like a coloring contest or a Bible lesson or a puppet show. but he's going to do those verses starting on Monday.
That's great. We're trying to figure that out, especially for Awana too. We don't have that figured out, and maybe that's a really good way for us to work. One of the big challenges, our goal, I said at the very beginning, our goal is to keep people connected as long as they can, or as much as we can. And one of my big concerns is that our teachers lose connection with the kids in their class. And I'm not really sure that we have an answer on how to do that. Some of you are saying you've got you're going to record. I see Kevin says he's going to record a 10-minute lesson to post to the church's YouTube. I mean, that is great. And anything we do, I think, to keep our kids connected to our church, seeing their teachers, seeing their the leaders that work with them. I think as Brother Frazier's been doing, and some of the rest of you guys have been doing, every day sending something out. I have not done that, and I think I'm dilatory in not doing that. But I think that's a really big deal. One more thing, and then I'll throw it over to Brother Frazier and Lewis and see if they have any additional things, and then we'll just do some questions and comments. I noticed some of you got your hands raised, and we'll get to you in just a moment. But we've been talking about church activities. How are we going to do activities for kids? Easter's coming up, and how do we do Easter? You know, what happens on Easter Sunday? And obviously, we're going to celebrate Easter, celebrate the resurrection, whether we're at church or at home. That's a big deal. But in my own heart, I want to tell you that I've already made up my mind that the Sunday we come back, whatever that Sunday is that we can all get back together, that's going to be Easter Sunday as far as I'm concerned. We celebrate the resurrection every Sunday. And so we are going to have an Easter celebration on that Sunday. That's what we've chosen to do. And that's what I've chosen to do. My staff, some of them may be hearing that for the first time, but I'm really committed to that. But one of the things that we had a big glow-in-the-dark Easter egg hunt all planned for April the 10th. And, of course, things have changed. And so Nolan and Emma have been talking through how to make it work. And I think we're going to put together a glow-in-the-dark Easter egg kit, Easter egg hunt kit for every family so they can come by and pick it up and have the lesson that they can go over with their kids, teach them the meaning of the resurrection. If we're still out at that time, we want to do something to make Resurrection Sunday a big deal, even if our kids have to be at home. And so we're trying to think through what that looks like. We've got some ideas that I just mentioned, and maybe there are some other things that you have. So let's go ahead and move to Brother Mike first, and then Lewis, if you have any additional comments, and then we will go to some questions, and I'm going to kind of back out and let some of the rest of you answer in these areas. Okay, Brother Frazier?
Well, I think the conversation, the dialogue has been really good. I've actually been writing down 2 or 3 ideas that hopefully we can implement at our church. And I think you're hitting on the key idea, and that's how do we stay connected with our people? Because right now, it's somewhat of an indefinite thing here in Ohio. You know, they put us somewhat in a lockdown mode or a quarantine mode for 15 days. And we're hoping at some point we can move beyond this, but we really, you know, in conversing, not only with the governor's office, but others that are in the loop, it really looks like there's a strong possibility that Easter is not going to happen the way we do it in a traditional way. And that's like the largest religious holiday there is in the world. So to have to figure out how to do a new innovative way of connecting on that Sunday is going to be unique for our people. I know our congregation is probably a little bit older than some of the others that are represented in this phone call, but there's just a challenge, a unique challenge there that we're having to rise to. You know, we can't just throw up our hands and say, we're not going to do ministry, or we'll see you when we get back.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing at all.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
forced to go across this bridge, you know, and to figure it out.
You know, one of the things that we have seen others are doing and been rattling around with is the idea of a drive-in service on one of those nights, a family night where everybody comes and sits in their car, turns on their radio, and we have a worship service with people in their cars, and maybe we show a movie once it gets dark. I don't know. And
Hey,
then,
Dennis.
yeah.
There's a church in Brunswick, Ohio that actually is going to do that for Easter. He has gotten the governor's blessing on that if they stay in their cars. And he is actually going to have a drive-in Easter service that day.
And we're going to sell popcorn in hazmat suits as well. When we do that, so we'll put them in plastic bags and put the big that radiation symbol on the outside of the plastic bag. Give everybody a hand wipes and give them popcorn through the window. We're not going to do that. But anyway, yeah, I mean, there are creative things we got to do to make that happen. Brother Lewis?
Good. There you go. A couple things real quick. One is, and you'll see this on Tim's videos, is that you have a lot of people now that are going to be contacting children. And you need to put some safeguards in. With the mega churches they work for, they actually have texting safeguards, which means you text it to the parents to make sure the parents are seeing it, and you have somebody else that's seeing the text than just the child. Just like you have the safeguards in the class, you got to have the safeguards with texting. So some volunteers are texting. This can be a little bit of a dangerous area because text can be misunderstood. And then also, I would just encourage you with missionaries is to find creative ways to do things. If you're doing some kind of a service on Sunday, you might put a video or an interview that you have with the missionary in that service that you have, just to keep them connected, especially if you're going to have a mission conference and they can't come. Maybe you can do some, show part of their presentation video or do an interview that goes on that with it so they can keep connected with their missionaries as well.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Chris, I see that you have your hand, and then Bob, and then Stephen. We'll make sure we get to all three of you guys. You guys have had your hands up for a while, and I appreciate your patience.
Yes, sir. This wasn't a question. It was back to when you were asking about what people are doing for the children's ministry.
Yeah.
Our children's pastor is doing a daily email to parents for all the emails we have. He is getting material from a site called Discover God for Kids, the number 4, if you're not familiar with that site. And there are a number of pre-made things that you can email out. He's adapting them, but it's got activities for the parents to lead the kids through. A lot of good creative ideas in that. So I just wanted to share that with whoever may not be familiar with it.
Okay, will you give us that? Will you give us that link one more time? Or even type it into the chat so we have it, Chris, if you don't mind.
I will type it in.
Thank you very much.
I'll type in the name of the deal. I don't have it pulled up, but it's Discover God for Kids. I'll type that in.
Thank you, sir. Bob Hutton.
Yeah, I was just going to comment also on the kids. That's one of the things that I actually sent out to all of our teachers today, because we're having all of our teachers contact the families, but on there that it was to contact the parent and not the kids, so that there are some safety measures in place. There is also another site called Kidology that has some good resource material. Once again, it has to be adapted, but there is some good material. I'll type that in for you. Oh, Emma already put it in there, I see. No, that's great. Also, I was wanting to ask Brother Matt Keller, he used Zoom on Wednesday night, and I was just wondering how many people were involved in that and how that went.
It's the first time we've done it, Bob, and we only had about 25 initially, and we got word out late that we were going to be doing it. That was on me, but it really worked very well. Once we muted everybody and then kind of worked through the etiquette of unmute yourself before you want to speak, and but I would ask questions in the middle of the Bible study and wait for people to chime in. And it really did work out very well. There was a level of interaction that we enjoyed that is pretty common for us on Wednesdays for our Bible study. So I got great reports back from people. They really enjoyed it. One person said, "Hey, can we continue to do this after this whole thing goes away?" Which I'm like, no, it just come to church. We'll be fine.
Exactly.
It really did work out great, and much better than a Facebook Live for that type of interactive study application. Facebook Live is great for communicating to masses, but it's not great for them communicating back to you. And we really value that dialogue in our Bible study. So it was great. We enjoyed it.
Good. One of the things that we did for Wednesday night, and Matt, thanks for that. Did you do it did you basically stand like you would in a service, or we kind of built a set and had more of a, it was kind of the radio Bible class look, actually, with Jason Lang and Nolan and Bill Levergood. Jason was mainly teaching, but the other guys were interacting and asking questions. We did that on YouTube. How did you do it?
I actually sat right where I'm sitting right now. And
Okay.
so this is my home office. And we did it at the normal time, 7 o'clock.
Did you wear your hat?
I did not wear the hat. No, I looked more presentable than this.
I like your hat, actually.
I do too. Go Bucks. Anyway, that was for you, Mike Span. Anyway, it really did work out well. Now we got word out through Facebook, through our Facebook channels, through email, through texting. We have a church app that we sent the link out in the church app so people could do. So what we found is just try to communicate in every possible venue, in every possible way, and it's worked out well for us so far. But we're still in the learning phase. We'll learn more as the days and weeks go on.
Boy, aren't we all? Man, I am telling you, I am still trying to figure out so much of this stuff. Stephen Wineka, it's so good to have you, man. You've had your hand up a while. Go ahead and tell us what's on your mind.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to share a little bit about back when you were talking about people that used Zoom and how it went. Just like everybody else, our whole church was kind of caught off guard and making very quick decisions on the spot about what to do with our main service and our weekly Bible studies and such. And so within a matter of days, we went from not having any sort of live stream service to having a live stream service. And then we had a discussion on Tuesday about what would we do for midweek Bible studies and things like that. So somebody had brought Zoom to my attention, and so we went ahead and just purchased the Pro version. And the upside of using the Pro version, I used it Wednesday night after our Wednesday live stream. And I used the option to record, similar to what you're doing today. And so what we ended up doing was I sent an email out to the parents of all of our youth saying, hey, we're going to be doing a Bible study after the live stream service. Here's what you need to do. And we have a group chat with all of our youth that we use regularly anyway, to encourage the students to get onto the group chat so that way they have the link information, they can download the app. We had about 30 people online, and it was very seamless. I went over all the etiquette stuff and muted all the mics pretty quickly and had them raise their hands to interact, and we recorded the entire Bible study. And then for those that couldn't make it, I went ahead and posted it as a private link on my YouTube account, and then posted that link to that video through our group chat. So that way, any students that missed it but want to go back and listen to the things that we discussed and that we talked about could go ahead and do that. It went so well that I decided with the group to do almost like a daily reading and discussion. And so what we're doing is we're reading through the book of John together right now. And we decided on a time. We're going to do Monday through Friday from 10 to 11 to get online and chat about that chapter that we read with any sort of questions and observations they may have from the chapter. And I'm recording that as well and putting that on YouTube as a private link. So that way it protects any of the students and any minors, and it can only be sent out through the emails to the parents and through our youth group chat that we have already. So we've done some of those things. And then as far as children's ministry stuff, which is an area that I oversee as well, we have encouraged the youth leaders or the children's workers to contact the parents, similar to what has already been recommended. Yesterday, there was some teachers of my children that video chatted through my phone with my kids just to say hi and stay connected, because we could do some Bible lessons along with some of the schoolwork that they're doing, but you do run that risk of just losing that personal connection. So it was really sweet to hear their discussions with my kids and some of the interactions, and the other children's workers are going to be doing something very similar, along with lessons that we've emailed out to the parents to try to incorporate in with some daily schoolwork that they're doing. So those are just a little bit of the things that we've been using, but we have really loved Zoom so far, and we're going to be using that for a lot of our Bible studies and small groups, and it's just gone very well. So we couldn't be more happy with it.
For some reason, I think Dennis left the meeting. I'm not real sure why, but
No,
Hope I didn't scare him off.
My computer just locked up, so I'm not sure what happened. But Stephen, thank you for that, and I think I got most of it anyway. Does anybody else have anything they want to ask or share at this point, Ben?
Pastor Keller had a really good question about what it looks like when we're done, as far as encouraging people that online church and online services isn't the same as the assembly, ecclesia. And so he asked that question, how do you encourage people to get involved right now, but then what will it look like when this is over, and how do we cope with that?
Matt, what are you thinking about that?
Well, I'm hyper local church, and nothing replaces the gathering. And I keep hearing over and over again through social media channels people saying, well, that the church is the building, the church is a people. And that statement, I think, is true in part. The church is not just the people, the church is the people assembled for a purpose. And so one of the things that I'm really concerned about through this process is we're offering all of these different things that we've never done before, that we don't do on a regular basis, all of these programs, all of these, phenomenal things. And I think it comes from a great position of, we want to encourage our people. We want them to connect with us online. We don't want to lose touch with them. But at the same time, in our optimism, are we, I guess, plowing a field that's going to produce fruit that we don't like in the future? When all this is done, are they going to say, you know what, online church is better than going to the gathering? And so we're not doing anything extra. We're doing our online services on Sunday morning. We're doing our Wednesday night Bible study, our ladies Bible, everything that we're already doing, we're going to continue to do. We have cut Awana and some programs. We've cut our Sunday night services for right now. We still do them, but I don't know. I just, someone convince me or tell me why, or tell me why I shouldn't be concerned about that. But it really is a very serious concern of mine, so much so that all of the messaging that we're trying to do right now is, hey, we have to do this right now, but we can't wait to come back together again. And this is a necessity. So I'm trying to navigate through all of that in my own head.
Yeah, and I will say this, Matt. I have agonized in that same way, and that's why for me, keeping people connected into their classes, even down to the children being connected to their teachers. We are not going to continue to have Sunday school classes virtually once we're able to meet again. We're just not going to do that. This is not an option. That doesn't mean that we wouldn't have a class at some point for somebody for something, but to offer an alternative Sunday school or an alternative Bible study, an alternative ABF, so that a person doesn't have to come to church, seems like it would be counterintuitive to what we're trying to accomplish, because people are not connected together. It's the whole one another stuff that we lose when we're not together. And I will say this to all of you, and then take whatever questions that we have, and any comments that you might want to add to Matt. about a week and a half ago, I started reading and hearing people who are saying it's the end. This is the end, and this the rapture is going to take place, and nobody would miss us because they would just think we're all dead with coronavirus in a ditch somewhere, mass graves, et cetera, et cetera. But I will tell you what that talk did for me. What that talk did for me was make me wonder how I would respond now if I knew that 8 weeks from now, Jesus was going to be here. How hard would I work? How much effort would I put in to connect with people now, to try to talk to people individually? Millennials will have a spiritual conversation in a digital way. I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me. But those conversations are happening on a regular basis already. I've got a young man that I led to the Lord a few weeks ago. We're discipling him. And that guy is, we've met 3 times. He's completed 6 of the 7 of the first discipleship books. He's already done that. And I'm getting texts and emails from him almost every day about a question. He went out and bought his mother a Bible. And those things are happening in this time frame when we can't even get together. So I have taken the position, and we have as a staff, that if Jesus was coming back 2 weeks from now, 6 weeks from now, 8 weeks from now, what would he have wanted us to do different if we knew he was coming back? And that's kind of what's driving my heart in this, and even to have something like this. Any other questions or comments anybody has?
If I could just respond to Matt's question real quick. What I've found with the youth, because one of the struggles that I've been having with our high school group and even just those that are in that generation, is that, when we get them together, they do really well together. They connect, they can share. When we go to camp together for a week, have great discussions. They're very vulnerable. They show their struggles. We talk about how to walk with the Lord, and we do all those things. But the one thing that I found is that as soon as they depart from one another, they just kind of get sucked back into their own little bubbles again. And I believe, and this is just my conviction, that a lot of this has to do with the social media environment that they've been raised in, where there is a sense of false connection when it comes to relationships, and that they really have a struggle with trying to figure out how to have good, deep, meaningful relationships with people. And those things can be quickly satisfied by the face-to-face interactions that we may have on a week-to-week basis or multiple times in the week with normal church. What I've found, at least with those that I've interacted with, is that this online-only venue has actually caused people to really see the deep need to have physical, face-to-face, meaningful relationships with everybody. They miss having that, and they can have it in their home, and they can have it with their neighbors, and they can, social distancing, of course. But when it comes to this aspect, that it's something that, at least within the youth, that I believe that it's actually going to cause them to, when we are face to face now, to not take it for granted and to actually be closer. I could be wrong, but that's just the sense that I get right now, because people are really longing for those relationships that they can't have right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no way that the virtual stuff replaces the gathering of God's people, I don't think. Ted House, I think, has a question. Brother Ted, are you there? Are you muted?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
There you are.
Yes. Hey, I just wanted to say what we're doing with this meeting today. I appreciate you all putting it together, because what has surprised me, we're doing all the things you guys have talked about in different various ways. But what has been a surprise to me is how many pastors in my circle have called me, and we find ourselves talking for a half hour, 45 minutes. And it's amazing how many pastors are trying to process what do they want to do, how are they going to do it. And what we're doing with 33 people, there's, so maybe we should call some of our preacher friends sometime before Sunday and just let them talk. You almost like talk therapy. That part I wasn't expecting. And so it's been good just to hear a fellow pastor's voice.
Yeah. I'll tell you, this has been a hard couple of weeks. It's been a hard couple of weeks. One of the things I'm learning, even here in our office, and I've got a lot of my staff on here right now, but I'm finding that some of them are. I'm having to pastor my staff a lot more than I normally do, and I being vulnerable in front of them is good, but I don't want to. They can't depend on me for their spiritual strength. They have to depend on the Lord. But I do have to provide some leadership. I do have to provide a direction, and say this is where we're going, and we're not going to keep this pace up that we're trying to keep and trying to figure all this out. We're not going to keep this up forever. The thing for me is, how do we keep our people connected? That's the most important thing. And down to our bus kids. Nolan is on here, and he's a missionary intern going to head to Uganda, start his deputation trail in the fall. And he works with our bus kids, and he's working hard. We're racking our brains. What do we do? How do we minister to families who just want to dump their kids onto our bus on Sunday so they can be free of them? And I know that that's a terrible way to say it, but I was a bus kid, and I know kind of how that happens. So how do we love those kids and love those families? And I think it creates an opportunity for us. We're just looking for opportunities everywhere else, everywhere we can find them. We got time for prayer. All right. Kevin, I see Kevin Cole's hand there. Kevin, would you have a comment that you want to make? And then I would ask you if you would to close out our time today in prayer, if you don't mind. You're muted here.
Scroll down. Go into full screen view.
It doesn't say he's muted. There's something wrong.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Barely.
Yeah. Okay.
Your volume is super low, super low. If you can increase your microphone volume at all, you have the ability to do that. No, that didn't do it. Sorry. Yeah. Do you have a question that you can type, or did you have a comment, or?
Yeah, it was just a comment. I was just
okay. There we are.
Yeah, I was just going to encourage everybody. This didn't take God by surprise, and the spiritual disciplines that we practice in normal times have been and are the same spiritual disciplines that we have to practice in times of adversity or times of change. And so I just want to encourage my brothers to just continue to do the things that you've done before to feed your own soul, and that they're not inept. They're not broken. We don't have to do different things. We just have to keep connecting to God, and from that flows natural ministry. But if we run ourselves ragged trying to connect with people and fail to connect with God, we won't have anything to give. And it'll all be done in the flesh, and it'll be temporal and not lasting. So I just want to encourage you guys, just keep soaking in the spiritual disciplines. I found myself fasting more recently, like skipping meals to be intentional in prayer. I've increased my Bible reading, just looking to apply scripture, but I've kept with my normal Bible reading program as well, because I just believe God has me in the right spot for the circumstance I'm going through. And then, of course, every conversation I have with people tends to be COVID-19 related. And I'm thinking, this is the way we should be talking to people about God, how God is, and scripture should be at kind of the center of every category we talk about, whether it's, finances or the stock market or sports or the weather or politics or all the things that we're talking about now that are COVID-19 related. Is like, man, I wish we would filter all those topics through a God lens. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be more intentional, as much as people talk to me about COVID-19, to talk to them about God as our hope. So I think that, guys, we're well equipped. We are well suited to shepherd our own hearts and our own families and our churches through this. But it's not through extraordinary means. It's just by doing the normal scripture-based, spirit-driven ministry that God has called us to do. So I'll just pray for that if you still want me to pray. But I mean,
yes, I appreciate that. And if you would, let me say before you pray, Kevin, thank you, everybody. And if we need to do this, if this has been a help to you, I would like to know that. And if you've got other resources, if you'll send those to Lewis or to me or to Ben, if you can email those to any of us, you can email them to Mike and he'll email them to Lewis or me or Ben. And we'll get those and make those available for to put them on another resource document that we'll put up on the BCMN website. I want to thank everybody for taking the time today. I know your time is valuable, and you're trying to walk the road that God has you on in this moment. Kevin, thank you for that good word. Would you dismiss us, please, sir? Sure.
Hey, Lord, it's been just awesome to be with my brothers today through Zoom. Thank you for the technology that has enabled this conversation. Thank you for the information that's been shared. Thank you for Baptist Church Ministry Network sponsoring this for us, and for the fellowship that we have. Lord, we fellowship with you, and we fellowship with one another through good times and through difficult times. But we continually rely upon you and your word, and we found it sufficient every day before this day, and it's sufficient for this moment as well. So, Lord, help us to rely on you. Thank you for the opportunity we have to minister to hurting people at this time. I pray, Lord, that for many of us, as we use different technology for the first time this Sunday, that you would give us the ability to speak through the camera to the hearts of the people that we serve, and that your Spirit would do an eternal work through your word. That's your promise to build your church, and we thank you, and we trust in that. You are our hope. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Embrace your role as an equipper today. God bless you. Bye.